All right. All right, good evening. This is the October 21st, 2020 Cottage Grove City Council meeting, which I'm calling to order. Before we do the Pledge of Allegiance, I'll do my normal COVID statement. Because of the reduced capacity of our city council chambers due to the state's distancing requirements and recognizing some residents will be more comfortable attending the meeting virtually, we are providing for public input via Zoom. Please visit our website at cottagegrovemn.gov and click on the public meeting quick links box and then click on the October 21st, 2020 meeting. You'll find a variety of options if you'd like to speak during the open forum or on any other regular agenda items. We want to be transparent, accessible, and inclusive, and we hope that these measures will accommodate everyone who wishes to participate in our open and public meetings. So with that, the next thing on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you'd please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, will the clerk please do the roll?
Councilmember Mills.
Here.
Councilmember Dennis.
Here.
Councilmember Thiede.
Here.
Councilmember Olson.
Here.
Mayor Bailey.
Here. The next item on our agenda is open forum. This is the opportunity for anybody that wants to speak on something that is not on tonight's agenda is welcome to do so. I will mention to our staff that as of yet, I still have not seen the Zoom up yet. So I'm just letting you know. So can you see it? Okay, because it's not showing on mine. So we have an option for people to either comment through Zoom or a sign-up sheet out in the open area. And is Commissioner Johnson, are you here to speak or just to listen?
No, I should be listed as the open forum.
Oh, I don't see it. So is it out there? Okay. So I didn't see anybody else, and as Joe's telling me, no one's on Zoom. So if you wanna go out there, I apologize, and just state your name and address for the record, you can address.
I even put something down there funny as my topic, and you killed it. So, can this come off when I speak, or
Yes,
is it?
yes.
Okay. Let me see. So, Wayne Johnson, 7862 62nd Street South in Cottage Grove. Mayor, council members, nice to be up here. I'd also like to start off by saying, as a resident of Cottage Grove, I'd like to express my thanks and thank you for the work you're doing, especially in these challenging times. And I know it's not easy. You're out there doing a lot of things, and just want to, it's appreciated, it's noticed. So thank you for the work you do. I just wanted to step in after watching I actually do watch from home. And after watching the meeting last 2 weeks ago, topic got brought up, and also another item that I'm working with Ryan with the county on. And I thought, normally we have the opportunity to see each other during different events, and I think we're pretty good. And I know it's important to get representation and how important it is to believe you can reach people and communicate and do the work of the people here. So I wanted to step in and say hi, see if there's anything. But the other thing too is a couple topics that came up, and I wanted to say I am here for you. I think 4 out of 5 of you, if not all of you, have my phone number. So if you ever want to reach out, and there's some group things that happen between the city and the county where residents really don't know who it is, whether it's the county or whether it's the city. And a lot of times, it's easier if they do contact you, that you just reach out to me and we can start figuring out how we can help people. Instead of, I've heard some frustration sometimes saying, well, the city told me it's the county, and the county told me it's the city, and it goes back and forth, and who's frustrated? It's the resident. And I want to, we're all here to serve, so I just want to make sure that doesn't happen. I know we're working right now with Ryan and Wayne and Joe at the county for a resident on 65th regarding a new water pipe that was put in. And we're trying to figure out who can help here, because there's the county involved, the city involved, and then the developer, and who's responsible for the pipe that's in there. So I know the resident was a little frustrated by the time he got to me, and so I wanted to, we could have talked a little bit sooner. Another topic came up, Council Member Olson there, you brought up regarding Jamaica between 70th. And so I called Wayne, or let Wayne know up at the county to be prepared to be contacted, and I think they received a contact today from the city regarding that. There was and I touched base with them. That's kind of things that, you know, a phone call, we could get started going and stuff like that on it. It's one of those things, I don't know if who was around when the original agreement was made. It was turned over to the county, but it had some different agreements as cost sharing and what things would happen. I know a speed study was mentioned, and that is something that's going to be discussed between the county and the city, that gets handed over to the state and they do the speed study. The important thing to remember when you do these studies, you might not always get what you want, because it's a possibility they may actually increase the speed limit out there because of where it is and the distance. And so that's something the state decides, and then that's something you have to deal with. The other thing too is brought up, and I've touched on this, I know Councilmember Dennis has brought this up too, is crosswalks. Crosswalks are one of those things that it has to be at a controlled intersection. I've had that discussion before, when I was still on the city council, before I joined county. I know we've talked about, it's been brought up before regarding Holiday on Hinton there. It's kind of a dangerous situation. Crosswalks, if not placed in the right place, are actually more dangerous than not having a crosswalk. It provides a false belief of safety and right-of-way. And so you say example like on Hinton, they come out of that roundabout, they're coming up to 45 miles an hour, and all of a sudden, bam, you have that crosswalk right there at Holiday. Or even up past 70th, as you get close to that, I have a friend that lives up in that development, as you get close military. People aren't expecting it. There's no stop sign, there's no nothing else. Cars think they're going, and all of a sudden you have somebody walking across, might be a child, might be a parent. We have a crosswalk, we have a right-of-way, might be true, but the motorists don't recognize that. So it's kind of one of those things, they're key, they're important, they're there for safety, but they have to be in the right place. So that's one of the things that, you know, we work together as a county and a city to get that information out and get that out there. So I don't want to take any more of your time, because you know what? It's one of those rare times I can't get any talk back. I can just say. So
What are you talking about? We could, I think he has a question for you, actually. You thought you were getting away
I
that
thought
easy.
that was against the rules.
Well, no, it's good to have you come in and share some of the feedback, because I even know under the one situation about the break-ins at the Ravine Park, I was actually talking with our police department, Greg, and he was reaching out to the county, and then I know you jumped in on that too. Because obviously in anything that happens, whether it's in the county park or in the city of Cottage Grove, we all work together, and the sheriff's down here, our police is here, so, you know, we'll work with the citizens, obviously, to figure out some type of a solution as best that we can under that, excuse me, under that particular situation. So, Councilmember Dennis?
Thank you, Mayor, and hello, Mr. Johnson. How are
Hello
you?
there, sir. Good.
You know, it's always nice to see you come back into the House. We still remember those days when you were part of the council here with us, so that's
Looks
a
a
good
lot
thing.
different than it used to.
Little different than it was, but listen, you brought up a great point here tonight. So in the spirit of cooperation and the timely moment of you actually being here, there's something that I would like to bring to your attention and see if we could get some help with. Yesterday, most people are aware we had a pretty substantial snowfall. And so there's, you might recall, and I know you live kind of in the northern part of our community, there are concerns that residents have with, you know, plowing and salting and trying to make safe access and passable nature for them getting up that hill. So I do know that that part of 65th, which is the area that I'm referencing, the county does the work from Newport all the way up, I believe, to Hinton.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if we could, again, in the spirit of cooperation, utilize your position maybe to reach forward and see if we could get a little bit of enhanced work done on that area for our residents, because it's been a concern that a lot of people have had, and yesterday it all kind of came flooding back again.
Okay.
So if you could do that, that would be fantastic.
Thank you for the request. Absolutely, and that's a great example of what what we're talking about here. Now, I hadn't seen any of those. I was actually talking to Jennifer earlier. City did an awesome job of plowing, by the way. Public Works, great job. They were out there early that night. They got it so it could start melting overnight, and it created a great opportunity to get everybody on the road and operating safely. So kudos to them. Now, if I can ask, was there some comments made that road did not get plowed then? Is that correct? Or was it
Well,
at a certain point of the road?
Yeah,
or
people were having extreme difficulty getting up the hill.
coming up from the
Yeah,
Newport
and
area?
there was one big post, you can find it on the surrounding neighbors page, where
Okay.
someone had, evidently it kind of stalled out, there was a truck behind, they couldn't get moving again, and there were a bunch of other people that chimed in on it. But we know it's been a concern, it was something that we tried to address here maybe a couple years ago. But again, if we could do anything to help those folks out up there, that would be a very beneficial thing.
And I agree, it is, as it gets more traveled, as it gets more development, you have the school there, so it is going to be more important, and I will definitely get in touch with them, because unfortunately, that road is one of those that we all have in the communities, one that's kind of in an area, one of the most south or the most farthest area from it, and that tends to get done last. But at the same time, Hinton is a major thoroughfare, so I can definitely reach out to them and make it known how important that is, especially with the school there and stuff like that. So, and I don't know how you guys were. I think that snowfall was a little bit surprising. That's why it got handled as well as it did, was impressive. It was really impressive that got done so quickly. So,
2 inches.
Yeah, I know.
so, and Mayor, thank you for bringing up I saw that with the park. And that's a perfect example. The park's a county park, but it's in Cottage Grove, so people don't know who's taking care of it. That's a perfect example I put on Facebook, is it's under construction, as we know, and when it's all done, there's gonna be cameras upon cameras down there to protect it. Right now, it's one of that do what you can. Unfortunately, my daughter, as we know, nothing's safe. My daughter's had her car vandalized twice within a month, and in wide open areas under lights and stuff like that. So there's stuff that's a little unique this year. And so, but when we get that open, that's gonna be a beautiful site. It's gonna be cameraed up, everybody's gonna feel safe, and it's just gonna be a shining star down there. So, but again, I just don't wanna take any more of your time. Reach out to me, anything, phone, text, Facebook, just so we can continue to serve our community the best we can, and that's why we're all here.
Commissioner, two things real quick. One is more of a comment. It kind of goes back to the area that you were talking about, Councilmember Dennis. I did want to, mention that when we had that development going up there, obviously we heard the complaints, but one of the things that we did is we worked with the county on, I heard they said some of the visibility was bad there, and I happen to know, because my son's going to be building a home up that direction, that the county did go through and actually clean out all the overhang, the trees, the brush and that. So it is wider now, so you can actually see better coming up and around the hill there, coming through Newport up to Cottage Grove, which I know is part of the other issue. Part of it's in Cottage Grove, part of it's in Newport.
Yeah.
Even though it's a county road, it still can be an issue. The only other question I had for you now, and if you can't answer it today, or maybe get back to staff, or we can talk later. You mentioned about crosswalks. Does the county have any type of policy as it relates to crosswalks? I mean, I know we have distances because we do the same thing from a city standpoint, where you can or can't have them. Is crosswalks something that the county even does? Or is that something that's typically, even though it might be a county road, is that typically left for the cities to manage that when county roads go through different cities?
Well, no, because it all depends upon which way the crosswalk is going. If you use an example of 19 and 80th there. So the crosswalk, in the controlled section there. The
Yep.
crosswalk that's on 80th is the cities, and then the county has the 19, and that's where you notice that we're able to, it was suggested by Offner shown about putting up some flashing lights on those stoplights. So we were able to do that as a county, and then they do that stuff. So it depends upon which there. There is a policy and there is rules on that based on safety. Can it be looked at and evaluated? I think we talked about it, Ryan. I think the resident there and mentioned about crosswalk there with the school. That's kind of a situation we talked with the city or with the principal there, and they're not supposed to be walking to that school. So why you don't want to, even though you think it's for safety, all of a sudden you're kind of promoting activities that the school doesn't want. But there is ways it can be looked at. I know like the visual and be able to see on that road. I know one of the things was concerned of coming over the road and down where the school is, so they put extra signs up there. They're also putting up, in part of the plans, I believe that was requirement of the county too, was some turning lanes there when they started doing that new development, so you could have a better turning lane, so you don't have somebody stopped right there and trying to turn. So that's one of the concerns there too. So while everything can be talked about and everybody can done, it boils down to safety and what is the best thing, because I don't think any of us want to do something with the right thoughts and then have it come back the other way. So I'm always talking to them about it because I really want one where I live because of getting across there. But it's the rules are the rules based on safety. So
Perfect. Okay. Thank you. That's right. And I understand the whole safety thing. I know that we get challenged all the time about everybody wants crosswalks, and the good news is it's nice to have crosswalks. The bad news is cars, unfortunately, are not necessarily following the law when it comes to people being in crosswalks. So there is a false sense of security sometimes when people are in crosswalks. It depends on the road, and it depends on what type of signage you have. So wherever we can, we try to either put the flashers, which we're starting to do a little bit more, where you hit the button and it makes, or is supposed to make cars stop. Or as we're trying to do underpasses in a couple locations too, through some possible grant opportunities, so.
well, you're right. In that one, you have that crosswalk on, I guess it's hinting there still where you got the two paths. So there's a reason to have a cross safety there. But again, if there's anything you'd like to learn more about, to discuss, share, we're coming up on our CIP discussion up at the county also. So if there's any requests there that they see they want help with now, or you want help with, that's the time to reach out to me now. So
Okay. Oh, I guess one more, Mr. Dennis?
I do, as long as you're
I should have been
cracking
put
that
on the
door
agenda.
open.
Yeah, we should have just had you on the agenda.
Well,
I don't see anybody else out here, so you're good.
so Wayne, you'll recall that recently I had reached out and asked you if you could use your influence to help us get some of the CARES funding for the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And currently, the rules that are in place do not allow a 301C6 or whatever that number is that we have for designation. I am aware that there is a third round of money that's being opened up for people to apply for. And I'm wondering if you could help us, if you see that there might be a change in how they designate that funding, and they're willing to open it up to nonprofits like what we've got here, if you could maybe use your influence to help us a little bit with that.
Well, thank you for the mayor, council members. I have to remember how to do that part of it.
You're good.
So, thank you for the question. You're correct. We just had another round that we just approved, and it was extending the time that businesses can do it. We also provided funding for hospitals, schools, and some nonprofits. The thing that we're running up against right now is time. That we have to have the money distributed and spent, and it has to be spent by a certain amount of time. So now it's starting to look at, okay, how many board meetings do we have? We don't meet again until the 4th or the 3rd for we're the same election day. So we kept going out and out and out, trying to think more and more. The problem is the wider net you do, how do you get that message out farther and farther? I know you reached out to me, and I believe it was on the Visitors Bureau, and you had said that it lost its charter or its designation because you changed it from what it was to now essentially being supported by the city or a tax base, correct? So
Well,
it wasn't
yeah,
truly a
It went from
nonprofit.
being under the auspice of the Chamber of Commerce, and because there were some changes there that they were not able to continue forward.
Yeah.
So we took it on through, in essence, the leadership of our economic development team, and now have it set and structured. We actually have a board. I sit as chair on that particular board. And so I guess really what, just to make it simple, is that if in the consideration of how, your team in the county looks at this, if they open it up to the point where we could be included in that, I'm just asking if you could keep us in mind and maybe reach out right away and let me know.
I definitely will. Again, I'm always looking for ways to help and opening it up to possible ways. I know we went back and forth figuring, okay, what it would be spent for and all that stuff. And that's key, because you can open it up and say more people eligible, but you have to have the eligible expenses that are pretty tight with the federal government, because the last thing we want to do is have an audit done, and all of a sudden you think you have the money and you don't have the money.
Yeah, so one of
so
the
that's-
things, just
so-
to give you assurance on it, is that anything that we would do would be fully vetted. We do have, Jennifer, what's the name of our company that we go with for that? Is it Ellers?
Ellers.
Okay, so Ellers has been doing a lot of work with us too, and we're being very conservative on this. We're really making sure that everything we do is 100% defensible and justifiable. So if we get an opening on this to take the shot, trust me, our team will make sure that we're lined up properly, that we have everything in a row to make sure that that would be a legitimate, opportunity for us.
Then I have a request back to you and back to Jennifer, is if you can get me something, what I need is exactly what you're designated as a nonprofit, what you want to spend the money for, because I can tell you, if you do get that allowance, you basically have from 8 o'clock that morning to about 5 o'clock, knowing how much time we have left, because we have to go in front of the board, just like what happened yesterday. The board has to, we have a workshop and then we have a meeting. You're running out of time. And so if you can get that to me, I'll get it up to them right away, and I'll get it up to the CDA to see what I can do. I'll work for you as hard as I can.
Yeah, thank you.
Just knowing with the limitations we're
And
running
we'll
right
be
now,
ready.
so.
We're a 501c6 organization, 501c6.
So you did? What were you? Because I thought you said you lost the designation when you
Well-
went to the tax, when you started using tax funding.
So how about we do this, because we're
All
really
right,
getting.
Yeah,
No,
let-
no,
yeah,
it isn't even
let's-
for you. Well, Jennifer, I think you can work to get Wayne what he needs, our commissioner, I'm sorry, what he needs for to possibly work with Steve in the Visitors Bureau. So that way we don't have to be looking and
sorry.
figuring it out today.
No, but
But I know it's quick. I know you're definitely on a deadline, because everybody is right now trying to use up the rest of the money that they can.
and we're all trying to, work together to get through this.
Yep.
Unusual times, so.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Anything else?
Anything?
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, moving to number 5 is adoption of the agenda.
Move the agenda.
We have a motion by Councilmember Thiede.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Dennis. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 6 is presentations. There are none this evening. 7 is consent calendar. Is there any items that council want to pull on consent? I didn't see anybody.
Move consent.
All right, so we have a motion to approve consent by Councilmember Olson, second by Councilmember Thiede. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So if you happen to be watching or listening for anything that was on tonight's consent calendar, all of those items have been approved. Moving on to, I flipped my page over, number 8, which is approved disbursement. 8A is pay the bills.
Motion to pay the bills?
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Mills,
Second.
second by Councilmember Dennis. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 9 is public hearings. There are none this evening. Bid awards, there are none this evening, which is number 10. We'll move to our regular agenda, number 11, and we do have one item this evening, which is the 2040, excuse me, comprehensive plan adoption. Been a long time coming to get here, and Ben Blake is going to walk us through this. So Ben, welcome.
Thank you and good evening, Mayor and Council. So tonight we are excited to present to you the request to formally adopt the 2040 City of Cottage Grove Comprehensive Plan. As you mentioned, a long time coming in terms of history. So the comp plan process started back in early 2016 with the hiring of Stantec Consulting Services to assist the city with the planning process, which included extensive public participation throughout the development of the plan. Included in that was a comprehensive plan steering committee, which was formed by the council and consisted of 22 residents, along with the community engagement steering committee and a My Future Cottage Grove housing group. In addition, many of the standing committees for the city, such as the Planning Commission, who had a big role in drafting the plan, as well as the Parks Commission, Environmental Commission, Public Safety and Public Works Commissions, as well as the EDA and the Historic Preservation Group. Through the feedback gathered during that public participation process, a draft of the plan was reviewed in May of 2018 by the Planning Commission, whom included a public hearing and recommended approval of the draft plan. And then in August of 2018, the City Council authorized distribution of the plan to adjacent communities and affected agencies. To receive that feedback, some revisions were made based on those comments. And in January of 2019, the City Council authorized formal submittal of the plan to Met Council. So the city, after submitting that formal plan to Met Council, received a total of 2 incomplete letters. The first letter was received on April of 2019, and after resubmittal, based on comments from that plan, a second letter was received in April of this year. The biggest issue highlighted by Met Council staff was related to the proposed land use on Lower Gray Cloud Island, which I will discuss a little bit more on the next slide. Other issues, as shown in the slides here, required more detailed information pertaining to wastewater forecasting, transportation mapping, growth forecasting, definitions of land use categories and land use densities, as well as some additional calculations pertaining to future housing needs and formal review of the Mississippi River Corridor Critical Area Plan. So getting back to Lower Gray Cloud Island, Met Council staff requested that the island be regarded as parks and open space based on the fact of Met Council's approval of the 1994 Washington County Gray Cloud Island Regional Park Master Plan, which did identify the majority of the island as parks and open space or as a regional park, as well as based on the Met Council 2040 Regional Park Policy Plan, which also guided the majority of Gray Cloud Island as regional park. The city raised objection to this request, and after several discussions with Met Council did agree to carry on transitional planning and rural residential for the majority of the island, which on this graphic is shown as gray and light yellow, as long as the map identified the two parcels purchased by Washington County as parks and open space, and that's this area here, this property here, and this property here. So with that, in July of this year, July 1st, the plan was deemed complete by Met Council. The plan was forwarded to the Met Council Community Development Committee as well as Environmental Committee in early to mid-August and was formally approved by the Metropolitan Council on August 26th. There was a condition of approval to include updated septic forecasts once received from Washington County. We're still awaiting that information, and once we have it, those revisions will be incorporated into the plan and then submitted to Met Council for the final copy. So with that, staff is again excited and is recommending that the City Council adopt the attached resolution formally adopting the 2040 Cottage Grove Comprehensive Plan, with the condition that once the city receives a revised breakdown of the regional sewered and unsewered forecast from Washington County, the plan will be revised accordingly and submitted to the Metropolitan Council. So with that, I guess I'll turn it to you, Mayor and Council, for any questions.
Council, do you have any questions at this point? Councilmember Olson.
Thank you, Ben. First of all, for the folks watching at home, the comp plan is a big deal. It's a really big deal. It is the guiding document for our community and frankly, the entire metro area. And it is a requirement of the Met Council in order to provide services within the metro urban services area to residents in all of the communities affected. Councilmember Theody and I had the benefit of working on the 2010 comp plan together. It's a lot of work. And what I want people at home to understand is that the comprehensive plan is a puzzle. And all of the pieces have to fit perfectly before the Met Council signs off on it. So that means that we have development planned. Our neighbor to the north has development planned. We have to ensure that the two come together with all the various pipes and all the various transportation infrastructure and all of those other pieces in place, whether or not it's taking place tomorrow or next year or 5 years from now, before the Met Council will say, okay, we're comfortable with that. With that said, awesome work by our staff having to go back to the Met Council several times on Gray Cloud Island. And the reason I bring up Gray Cloud Island is because it has been an item of contention for some time with the vision that the city of Cottage Grove has for that piece of property or that area as opposed to some of the neighbors. And therefore, the puzzle didn't quite come together the way that we hoped. Could you explain a little bit about that vision? And perhaps the mayor can even get involved, because I know he's been intimately involved in this conversation with his role at Metro Cities and what have you. But I think it's important for people to recognize why this took a little longer than it might otherwise take, and what the eventual outcome was.
Absolutely, Mayor, Councilmember Olson. So, as we all know, Aggregate Industries is continuing to mine on Gray Cloud Island, and they intend to do so for a number of years still. So it's kind of an unknown in terms of what will eventually occur on that island. There's also some additional property owners down the island that would like to look for redevelopment at some point. So it's trying to, like you said, balance the needs of that council, the county, and the city and the property owners down there in terms of what the future looks like for Gray Cloud Island. As you mentioned, there's all kinds of pieces to the puzzle. So Met Council has regional plans, they have the regional park plan, and like I said, based on the 94 plan from Washington County, which guided the majority of the island as park, regional park, that's what Met Council is referring to in their initial review. Again, after several discussions between our staff and Met Council staff, it was agreed that transitional planning is probably the best suited guiding use for the property, since, again, aggregate is going to be on the island for a number of years to come yet. And I think the intent is that Washington County, the hope, I guess, is that the city and Washington County will work on a revised master plan for the island, and that should happen between now and the next comp plan. And that way we can further kind of refine what the vision is for the island moving forward.
Yeah, I guess what I'll just jump in, because yes, I've been involved, including our administrator and I literally having a meeting with the chair of the Met Council a little over a year ago or so, I think. And I think the end result is that they are used, even though the city, even before I became mayor, have objected to the entire island being a park. We do want park amenities, and we want a significant park down there, just not the whole island. Neither does the majority of the owners down there. They don't want it all to be park either. So I think the next step is going back to the, ironically, you're here, Commissioner Johnson, going back to the county and working with the county to do a plan. And I believe that, and I'm looking at our administrator, is that within the next 2 years? I thought it was in one of the current CIPs or something for the county. Is that correct? 2020, 2023? So by 2023, that we would have some opportunity. And I think the timing also might somewhat work pretty good, because We're also doing a study with the county right now on that road that goes from Highway 61 all the way down to the island, both for development on on the main part, not even development on the island, but eventual access, because we do have a fractured bridge. The bridge isn't going to fall. I want to be very clear to the public. But the fact of the matter is we have many fractured bridges across the state, and we keep an eye on that one. We keep it going, but eventually that bridge is going to need to be replaced. And it's actually a county road, or part of it is county, part of it's city. And the fact is we want to make sure that whatever the replacement is going to be going forward is going to be for many, many years to come versus just a temporary fix, so.
Thank you both. So again, the reason I asked the question is because I wanted the folks watching at home to understand that this process is not very easy to get through. It's quite challenging. And Mayor, you brought up a very relevant and important point with regard to all of the various governmental agencies who have to sing from the same sheet of music before the Met Council will, you know, sign off on your comp plans. And so we have to work with, you know, the cities that surround us. We have to work with the county. We have to make sure that all of the various agencies or stakeholders involved, you know, come to some sort of agreement, and that is not always easy to do. So with respect to Gray Cloud, you know, the city's been very consistent for 20 years on their vision for what they hope to see. The residents have been very consistent for quite some time about what they hope to see. But then there are other governmental agencies who have different plans or a different vision, and so you have to try to find common ground. So again, this plan will serve our community for the next 10 years. And there will be adjustments that get made, and oftentimes residents will come to us. In fact, Councilmember Mills and I did a community listening session about a month and a half ago at Hamlet Park, and the mayor stopped by, as did Senator Bigham. And the idea of the comp plan came up because we were talking about 65th Street and Sunny Hill Road and that development and whether or not there was going to be traffic on that road. If you remember, the development has a private road that is set aside for public safety usage only. And so residents know that the comp plan guides all of those various decisions that we have to make. And the last thing I want to say is that the Met Council wields significant power. And if you don't work closely with them to ensure that the plan that you present is in sync with the greater plan in the metro area, you know, they have different mechanisms where they can twist your arm, whether that's different funding sources that dry up, et cetera. So I want to compliment you all for really working hard on this. This was a hard one. This one was tough, and that Gray Cloud piece really caused some significant headaches for some people. But you got through it, and we're here today, and great job.
Yeah, if I could, I guess major kudos goes out to, I know John McCool worked hard on this along with John Burbank, Emily Schmitz, all the standing committees, the planning commission. So a lot of hard work went into it. I came at the last minute, so the kudos really goes to that group.
Okay. Joe, do you see that gentleman? Does he go through you? Okay, so I see online we have a Mr. Matter who would like to speak. Mr. Matter, would you like to speak? Yep. Yes, we are taking comments on the 2040 comp plan. I do see your texting, and if you're having a problem with vocal, if you want to put it in the text, I could read it to the group if you would like.
Hello.
Yep, there we go. Now
Hi.
we can hear you. We are taking comments on the 2040 comp plan. You're on a time delay on the other, so. Having a problem with vocal, if you want to put it in the text, I could read it to the group if you would like.
Can you hear me right now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hello.
There we go. Now
Hi.
we can hear you. We are taking comments on the 2040 comp plan. You're on a time delay on the other. So having a problem with vocal, if you want to put it in the text, I could read it to the group if you would like.
Can you hear me right now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hello.
There we go. Now we can hear you.
No.
We are taking comments on the 2040 comp plan. You're on a time delay on the other. So having a problem with
I'll request to go to chat.
I could read it to the group if you would like.
Can you hear me right now?
Yes.
It's kind of like
Okay,
having
great.
the 2 ears.
There we go.
So keep going.
No. This is bad.
You're on a time delay on the other.
I'll request to go to chat.
Yeah, if you. It is locked in the loop.
Can you hear me right now?
Yes.
Kind of like having the 2 ears. So keep going.
No. This is bad.
Joe, can you cut that? She is gonna send me, she has 3 requests. And so she is gonna send something in text and I'll read it as soon as she gets it here.
It's kind of like standing between 2 mirrors.
She was in some loop there. Boy, that was horrible. You gotta love technology, huh? First time that's happened, actually,
Yeah.
because we've had other people that have actually spoken. While I'm waiting for her to send the messages, I guess, is there any other questions or comments that council has regarding the comp plan at this point? I think Councilmember Olson, stated that there is a lot of data. I mean, and by the way, the approved comp plan after we're finished with this evening, if council does approve it, I'm assuming we will, but if council does approve it, will be out on our website. And it's actually part of this week's packet, and so you can see the amount of extensive information that's up there. So the first question is text and images to reflect medium high density 54 unit multifamily home at 65th and Inwood. So I think that's the project that has already been pre-approved.
Correct.
That's the one that's by the middle school, Altman Middle School.
Actually, that's for, Mr. Mayor, that is for the Calarosa East or Calarosa Fifth.
Oh, it's the other one the other way.
Yep.
Okay. All
Yep.
right, sorry.
I actually spoke with Ms. Matter today about that.
Okay.
So the comp plan shows a old concept plan, which shows single family in that southeast corner. The council did approve multifamily townhomes in that area, so the question was, can we revise that map to properly show that development, which I explained that I'll reach out to our consultant to have that switched for the submitted.
Perfect. Good question by the citizen on that. So we'll make sure that the 2040 comp plan does reflect the right density on that corner.
Mayor,
Yes.
this is the resident that I referred to who came to the listening session that we had the conversation.
Oh, this is,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Councilmember Rose, thank you. So far, that is the only, oh, here we go. To reflect change of, again, update the 2040 comp plan text and images to reflect changes to Inwood Avenue longer shutting off at 65th Street, but now running through 70th Street to Ravine Parkway with road access to townhomes for fire department.
Correct, yeah, and I actually referred Ms. Matter to Ryan on that in terms of the construction, but the plan is to improve Inwood North up to Ravine Parkway. Ryan, I don't know if you have any more to add beyond that.
So she's referring to that private road that I chatted with you about earlier.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, for Inwood Avenue with the Calarosa development, we looked at it quite a bit, and the plan with Calarosa is to continue that roadway from 70th up to the new Ravine Parkway. We're improving that section that was from the old 65th to the new Ravine Parkway, making it safer, cutting down that hill, improving the safety. As you go north of Ravine Parkway, it then turns into a gravel road on Sunny Hill Drive in Woodbury. Woodbury's expressed quite a bit of concern about having development traffic go through there before this area develops. Those roads aren't really meant to handle that. So with the Calarosa development, the intent is to vacate that existing Inwood alignment that kind of runs down the property line. And in the future, as areas develop, that Kemp property in Woodbury, we could realign it, kind of like we did Ideal Avenue with Pine Cliff development, and have a much safer roadway and really just a better roadway for the public. So there's a period of time where it would be disconnected, but in the future, we'd see that reconnection more likely.
Okay. And you do, in case she has further questions, I don't see any, I think she said 3, but as of yet, I don't see the other one yet. But you will be able to reach out to her. You have her contact info?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
We're looking to schedule a meeting to answer any additional questions she has too regarding the plan. So that
Perfect.
is in the works.
So I know you were on a tape delay. If you're still able to watch or hear this, our staff will definitely reach back out to you. We will make the adjustments that you suggested to make sure that it reflects the right mapping and such for the comp plan. Though to your point, things do change, as we know. Yeah, all the time, unfortunately, but, or fortunately, I guess it just depends on what happens, and densities can change somewhat. We try to keep close to the comp plan, but things can happen. So, but we do appreciate, oh, yeah, I guess she does have her last one here. It says, update the 2040 comprehensive plan to include a roundabout at Inwood and 70th Street to handle increased traffic flow with traffic turning onto 70th at 50 miles per hour, cars coming over a hill and blocked by cars at Field. That's the one that Ryan, you were just talking about? Yep. Yeah, I think he just mentioned that as,
One thing I'll add, Mayor, members of the council, I did leave a voicemail for Ms. Matter here today, but I had my nice long 3M settlement meeting all afternoon. That went quite long, so we weren't able to connect, so I do plan to talk to her more about Inwood tomorrow. But in terms of Inwood at 70th Street, that's something we have worked with the county on in the past with that access plan that we approved a few years ago. It's something we're looking at now from a safety standpoint. Can we realign Inwood to line up with a city street on the south side of 70th? And, you know, someday have a controlled intersection, wherever that may be. A comp plan doesn't quite get to the level of detail of what that would be, but it is something that, you know, we'll continue to work on as we get more development and more traffic.
okay. Sounds good. Yes, Councilmember Mills.
Yes, I spoke with Ms. Mather today, too. So I know one of her other questions, and maybe Ryan, because I kind of sent it over to you. One of her other questions was, when did that Inwood Road actually change? Like, what, do you recall on the plans when things kind of changed in that development, where it went from Inwood ending at 65th to Inwood continuing up to Ravine Parkway? I know that was one of her questions as well.
Yeah, in terms of Calarosa, throughout the design, it was a question of does Inwood have to stay or not? But really looking at how it does connect up to the north today, and then looking at the multifamily needing a secondary access, which of course is just for fire safety only, that really played into Inwood needing to remain going south of Ravine Parkway to have that secondary access from a public safety standpoint. Like I said, we did improve that. We reduce the hill, improve the safety and such. With the weather going on, it probably won't reopen this year, but we intend to have that reopen next year.
Okay. Was that the main?
I think that was the main question, but I know she probably would appreciate talking to both of you, and she had a lot of questions about the comprehensive plan, and I think two, residents need to understand it's a guide, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's
Exactly.
exactly what's going to happen. But it's our way of trying to guide where we're going to go. But sometimes things change, and I know we've seen that happen even with the 2030 comp plan. There's things that changed, and then within the next 10 years, there'll be a new one that will come out for that 2050. It's hard to think about that starting already, but just to kind of keep that guidance going forward. So it's not something that we just willy-nilly change something, but sometimes things do change, and depending on how quickly things develop, I know sometimes that is where a road might get changed with a stoplight. I know that she likes roundabouts. That was something that she brought up, that she likes the roundabouts better than like a stoplight, and she feels it's safer. So in her conversation today, so it was nice to visit with her in the last couple days, and I know she'll appreciate talking to both of you. So thank you for all your work too that you've done on all this.
Well, and I can agree with her. I'm a fan of roundabouts, so.
I do too.
I like those versus stoplights or stop signs. So, council, any other questions? I did mention that the two of you would be reaching out to her because must be something going on with Zoom. She can't hear, is what she's saying, so. All right, anything else, council? All right, seeing none, I guess I'll look for a motion.
Move to adjourn. Oh,
Nope.
no.
I'll move to approve
we
the
didn't vote on that
comprehensive
yet.
plan.
All right, so we have a motion
Second.
to approve the comp plan by Councilmember Mills, second by Councilmember Thiede. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now, we're not quite there yet. All right.
Just getting excited.
Next is, number 12 is council comments requests, and I'll do my normal, start with Councilmember Mills.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple things I wanted to bring up, and one is kind of a little bit about this conversation that I had today and how much our staff cares about our community and how much they care enough to also just talk to community members. So thank you, staff, for being willing to reach out to this concerned resident and concerned about safety and concerned about what's happening. So I appreciate that care and just the thought of thinking about ahead, thinking 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead, that there's a lot of thought that goes into planning, whether it's a crosswalk or whether it's a stoplight. So thank you so much for that care. And then along with that is, Public Works has what I almost call like they do the magic in our city. They're the ones that get the water to our house, and they take away the things we don't want, our sewer, and then magically somehow the roads get plowed. And I can tell you that our Public Works crew, as we've already mentioned a little bit already, they worked really hard, and they were watching out where the rest of us went, it's not going to snow, we're not going to get anything. They were preparing their plow trucks, and they had everything ready to go, and they could go out. And so they sent their elves out, and they had the roads cleared and all of that overnight. So thank you to all those public work employees, and thank you, Ryan, for your team. I thought it went off really well, and for being a snowstorm early in October, so fantastic, and a lot of snow. As Ryan told me, it was 9 inches is what he calculated. So I'm like, wow, that's a lot of snow. And then the other thing I just wanted to bring up is October is Depression Education and Awareness Month. And I think with COVID going on, it kind of seems to be something that just needs to be brought more to the forefront. And hopefully people can maybe see the signs, and if you're not sure what the signs are, take some time to look at that or spend time with your family members if you're seeing something happen. And I did want to bring up, and Commissioner Johnson is here, but our Washington County has some services available. On their site, they have the mental crisis line. And that line, and I'm going to give that to you now, it's available 24 hours a day. If anybody needs it or they have a family member that needs it, it is 651-275-7400. So it's 651-275-7400. They are available 24 hours a day. And then there's also a way to text And you can text, let me pull that one up, and I don't have that one with me. There is a way to text, and if you want to know what that information is, you can reach out to us or go to the Washington County website, and you can find that text number, and somebody can text with you if you're having trouble. Because I know right now, I think we all get a little stir crazy. We've got snow coming in October. We're dealing with COVID, and people are dealing with all kinds of different issues. So please take the time to take care of yourself and take the time to take care of your family members. So that's what I had to share tonight. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you. Councilmember Dennis?
Mayor, I'm good.
You're good. All right. Councilmember Olson?
They always tell you to start with a joke.
Uh-oh.
Right, so not to pile on the snow conversation, see what I did there? But Public Works does absolutely deserve a huge kudos for their hard work and effort. I had the opportunity to attend the Public Services Commission meeting Monday night where we went and we did a little work at the water treatment facilities in town and learned a little bit about how that works. And I can tell you that all of the Public Works personnel that were at that meeting were already well prepared for the snow event. So they clearly had spent their day Monday making sure that all the plow trucks were in good order and, you know, that the shop was working hard on the blades and making sure that everything was going to work well. And I think Ryan told me on Monday night that our prognosticator said something about 5 to 8 inches. So they were definitely very close and they did a great job. So thank you to everybody. Public Works, you know, Ryan's team, Zach's team, everybody who went out and worked on our roadways so that our residents could get to and from safely. I also wanted to just take a moment to express my gratitude to Councilmember Dennis and the mayor for a really informative, well-done, well-produced by SWCTC, and particularly you made Jennifer look fantastic in her spot. I think that kind of made the whole event, actually. But you guys did a great job with your economic development presentation last week. And for those who haven't seen it, it is available on the city's Facebook page. I also think you can access it through YouTube. But very informative, really good information. You guys could have spent another hour easily just answering questions from residents. But it really illustrated how many great things we've got going on in the city of Cottage Grove and have for several years now and will next year and the year after based on the momentum with respect to economic development. And what I want people to understand is there are tremendous benefits to that. First and foremost, you know, we have the opportunity to reduce the burden on property tax homeowners by kind of increasing our tax base through this economic development. And so next year, 83%, approximately 83% of the homes in Cottage Grove will pay the same or less in property taxes due to the fact that we have such tremendous economic development happening and we've increased our tax capacity. So really, tremendous work. You know, all of the information you presented was really relevant and timely. You know, we've been able to do some great things, including build a new fire station, buy a new fire truck that'll be operational very, very soon, a ladder truck that will enable our fire department to reach anybody in any property on the top floor in the city of Cottage Grove. We've got the Hero Center right next door where we do amazing things training first responders. And a lot of that happens because of the economic development that we've got going on in the city of Cottage Grove. So it sounds cheesy to say, you know, we all work really well together and we have a really good dynamic going on in the city, whether it's council, staff, or both. And teamwork really does make the dream work, and I believe that. I believe that in my business life. I believe that in my public service life. And I just wanted to thank you guys because you did a great job, your teamwork, in making that presentation so interesting and informative, along with Scott Soroka and all the other folks who chimed in from SWCTC. Really awesome. And then the last thing I wanted to just remind people to do is vote. We have an election coming up in less than 2 weeks. I voted early with my son, who voted for the first time, and my wife, and I was told at the Washington County Service Center, where you can go vote early tomorrow if you want to, that they've had roughly 150 people a day coming in to vote, and we've all seen the news. The turnout across the state and the country for early voting has been absolutely phenomenal. So I just want to encourage people to exercise your right as a citizen to vote. There's nothing more important that you can do. You know, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm not going to tell you, you know, what's important to you. That's between you and the ballot box, but just make sure you do it. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Mayor. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Thiede.
I'm good.
Alrighty, there we go. So I have, well, one of them was going to be the vote on November 3rd, which Councilmember Olson took that quickly. And thank you for that, because the only other thing I'll mention about voting here real quick is we are, you know, whether, as you were just talking about depression and, you know, people, the issues with COVID and everything, you know, this heavy snowfall we just had. Well, politics obviously is causing a lot of angst out there too. And I'm just going to ask everybody to please be respectful of each other, whether it's on social media, whether it's in person, whether it's on, you name it, right? It's just, everybody may have their own opinion about who they're supporting and not supporting. And it's everybody, as Councilmember Olson just mentioned, it's everybody's right to vote whoever they want to vote for. And I guess the great news, we do have free speech, and I'm not saying you can't speak, but what I'm saying is be respectful to each one and each all, especially as hopefully at some point we will, well, one, for sure we'll get through this election, but two, at some point we'll hopefully work our way through this COVID situation and we can get back to a somewhat normal life again. The other item I wanted to bring up to the public too is, and I've seen a little bit of this out on social media and I've seen it on the news, and that is, and we actually just referred to it, not just this item, but the concern that had some people reach out to me about break-ins at the Ravine Park. Well, Ravine Park isn't the only place, and it isn't even just Cottage Grove that's having these break-ins where people are going through cars and such. It's happening all over the Twin Cities, and unfortunately, we're not immune to that here in Cottage Grove. We've had some issues that I've seen on social media and that. The one thing I did want to ask again the public tonight is two things. One, please lock your cars. I would say, and I'm going to look at Greg a little bit, I'd say at least based on what I know from hearing from our Department of Public Safety, 90+% of the cars that had items stolen out of them were unlocked. And the second thing is to make sure you don't leave valuables in the car. I mean, one is lock your car. Two is don't leave valuables in your car because it's like a setup for disaster. So we just definitely don't. And then the last thing is if you're out somewhere and you see something that looks suspicious, say something, call. Let our police department do the work, right? Don't be afraid to call the police because it might be your tip or your something that looks odd that gets a police officer over there and catches these people that, again, aren't just in Cottage Grove, they're going everywhere. So we want to make sure that you all remain safe out there and that your belongings remain your belongings. But please, let's work together as a citizen group. And again, please keep your doors locked and also your valuables out of sight from the citizens, or the crooks, I should say. And then lastly, on Halloween. As everybody may or may not be aware, there is no Halloween parade this year, of course, due to COVID. The city does not take a stance one way or the other on Halloween trick-or-treating. I do know many people are going to do it. I know I've talked to a lot of my neighbors. There are going to be people that are going to be handing out candy and having kids come over. The only thing I would just ask, again, for the public is use your discretion, wear masks, bring hand sanitizer. But if you go to a house and they don't want to do it, obviously, you know, most people will leave their lights off. But the fact of the matter is, if you want to go out and trick or treat, do it, but do it safely. And hopefully the kids can have a good time this year. And it is a Saturday, so it's a Saturday evening. There'll be lots of things Lots of opportunity, and I think that's daylight savings time too, if I recall that night, that next morning. So fall back. Yeah, it is, the 31st. So you got to be kidding me. Everybody in this room didn't know that? All right, there we go. So that was it. So again, just vote November 3rd. Be safe, and I'll just keep going down the agenda now. So workshop session open to the public, there is none. Workshop session closed to the public, there is none. So we're now to an adjournment.
I don't want to. Move to adjourn.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn by Councilmember Thiede.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Dennis. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.